I had the same problem. I've got a chicken coop just outside here, and they were like constantly, so I had to let them out because I couldn't have that in the background of the recording. Welcome to GCP Life. This is a podcast where we talk about Google and tech. This is episode 3, and today's show is sponsored by Kasna. Kasna makes your Google Cloud solutions possible. And on this show, we take a look at GCP best practices, Buildpacks make a comeback, we get an appreciation of just how much Alphabet is worth, plus Ira gets a new mic, and we finally have a website. But before we get to any of that, I'm going to introduce the co-host that is by my side every week. It's Ira Bailey. How are you going, Ira?
Hey, doing really well, thanks.
How's your week been? Busy, I hear?
Very, very busy. Had a design workshop where 9 months worth of work got signed off, which was good. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's always good when that happens.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And as you may have heard just then, we've finally got our website going. So if anyone's listening to this, they've probably found it via the website. So I probably don't need to tell you. It's gcplife.kasna.com.au. That probably doesn't come as a surprise. Fairly simple. I just finished it off earlier today. I don't know, Ira. What are your thoughts there? We actually haven't discussed it yet. I just threw it together.
Looks great.
It looks great. Sort of going with a bit of a black and white motif. When you pick these WordPress themes, you kind of get painted into a corner with what you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just went with it, and I'm going to say, I've worked in IT a long time, 20 plus years, and designing and editing websites is my least favourite thing in the world. I have to say, I really despise doing it. It's so fiddly and so painful. Give me infrastructure any day. But nevertheless, it's there. You can play the episode straight off the website. You can download the episodes. Of course, it's all done on Google Cloud, of course. I just went in there, I spun up the old project and just went to the marketplace and clicked on the WordPress. I think it's just a one-click deployment, very easy. And in fact, you can do that for free if you want to have a website of your own. But you need to, obviously, the domain names. There's a bit of cost there. But I just went one step further and put the old load balancer and a back end and all that in front of it so we get some nice caching. And that's it. That's what we end up with our website. And, of course, the actual files are on a Google bucket, and then you can just make the Google bucket public, and then those files are available just to download as they would be from a website. Really easy and straightforward. I'm thinking we'll make a GitHub page, I think, for our show here, and we'll make this code available if you guys want to do this for your website on Google Cloud, of course. Very easy. So that's that. And Ira, tell us about this mic you got here. It sounds pretty good.
It's just a Uber mic, it's called. Does all the fancy things that you think a nice mic would do. Unfortunately, picking up too much sometimes. But super easy to use.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah. And it's one of these. It's a USB thing, isn't it? Where you've got it does the mic and it's like basically a sound card built into it.
Yeah, and you get all the audio from the laptop coming back through the kind of audio jack on the mic as well. Nice.
Yeah, all right. Well, that's it. We're getting there one step at a time. We'll get there, and we'll turn this into the best podcast on the net. Anyway, look, one of the segments we want to introduce to the show is horror stories, and I'm sure the listeners working in tech have got some horror stories. I got some horror stories. I got some great horror stories working in tech and especially working in data centers where you've got real live chunky meat space servers. Plenty of horror stories there, and I'm sure listeners have got some as well. So you've got the way to contact us now at GCP Life at kasna.com.au. So send us your horror stories in. I'm going to kick one off. This is a bit of a doozy. It is actually a cracker. I'm there. Remember back from the 90s when we had the old net servers, the old big stand-up boxy net servers. I don't know, Ira, if you remember these things, but I'm there. We're setting up a room, and we've just put the net server in there. And we put the old DDS tape drive in there with it as well, and a couple of HP switches. We're setting all that up, and we go out to a I can't remember why, but we went out for a break, and there was a guy in there looking at the fire suppression system, at the sprinklers. And we go, "Hey, how you go? Hey, hi, how you going?" And we left, and we came back, and we see this guy in a panic running back in the other way as we're coming back. And we go to the server room because it was a new floor. It's been commissioned as a new floor. We go into the server room, and the floor is flooded. The floor's all flooded. There's water pouring down from the roof. Brand new servers, brand new switches, brand new everything, all soaked. And this guy had panicked, gone back the other way. Turns out he was the apprentice, and he was supposed to be watching. They were doing a test on the fire suppression system on the sprinklers, and the plumber had gone downstairs to turn some valve on, and they left some other valve open, and it released the water. It released the water into the server room and flooded everything in the server room. And this guy's running around going, "Where's the plumber? Where's the plumber?" I don't know, 20 minutes maybe it was going off, this water, and just flooded the entire floor. And so we hung out there for a little while. Once the sort of water disappeared, we got in there and got the stuff out and, opened it all up, dried it out. And about a week later, turned it on. The net server, absolutely fine. It booted up. It worked fine. There was no data on it, fortunately, because it was new.
Yeah.
The DDS drive, that was toast. Water got all through that. And the switches powered up as well because they were kind of in the rack and a bit shielded from the water. So, if you're on a floor doing a new build, well, we don't do it so much these days, but definitely when you're dealing with real boxes in real spaces, stuff like that happens. Yeah, it's a bit of a horror story. So, I don't know, Ira, if you've got something to share today.
Oh, I had a funny one when I was working out in the outback. Maybe about 7 years ago. My boss was a bit of a not particularly tech savvy guy, and he signed us up to do a live stream, televised nationwide concert in this location which had no internet basically. And so it was hilarious. So I had to do this weird TCP bonding setup between 4 different ADSL connections to push data upstream on 4 512K upstream links. And on the day it came, it was we're actually not doing it here, we're doing somewhere else, which didn't have internet access. So I had to run a cable. Then the cable got run over by someone driving a forklift and crushed the cable. And then I had to go and set up this weird point-to-point Wi-Fi link just to get the data from this building to somewhere else. And then it all worked.
But it worked in the end.
It worked in the end. It was had to set up.
Not really. Yeah. Well, it's not really a horror story then, is it? It all came good in the end. But
it was a bit of it was down to maybe the last maybe half an hour when I was trying to get this Wi-Fi access point set up.
That's stressful.
Yeah.
That's really stressful. Yeah, you just don't need that. Really, you just don't need that.
Yeah.
Things should be planned a little bit better. Anyway, guys, if you've got a horror story, send one through to us, gcplife@kasna.com.au, or you can probably get us there on the Twitter as well if you want. But, email is the way to go. All right, let's move on then. Now, Ira, you discovered something during the week and you seemed quite surprised about it. And that's these cloud native build packs. They're making a comeback, I hear.
Yeah. So Heroku kind of developed them in 2011, and they were used if you were going to deploy stuff to their platform. That's what you used. Kind of the history of it is, I think, Pivotal kind of forked it back in 2016, I think it was. And now they've kind of come together, and it's all been put under the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. It just graduated from a kind of sandbox project to an incubating project a little while ago. But it's being used in Azure. Obviously, Heroku, DigitalOcean are using it for their app platform. And Cloud Run that's how they build images for it. So it's a really interesting approach. Instead of like having to write a Docker file and authoring that part of it, there's a whole bunch of logic will just go into basically take a repo, and it will basically work out what code you're running. Is it running Java? Is it running Node.js? And it will just go through and work out how to build your code. And you just you can tweak a few things, but there's very, very little that you need to do to actually get an image out of it. And it will just, you say, I want this image pushed to this registry, and it will just take your repo, build everything, and deploy. It's
right. So if I had an app running on a physical box, or even maybe like a Linux container in a physical box or something, and I wanted to turn that into a container to run in Cloud Run, I'd use this tool. Is that what it do?
No, so you probably have to just source code, and it will just take like if you've got a GitHub repo that you've got that code running somewhere else, you can basically in 10 minutes you can have that running in Cloud Run if you just you just run this CLI tool called
point this to your repo, and then it'll build everything up it needs.
Yeah.
Right, I see.
And it comes
it certainly looks interesting. I did have a look at it, and I did find it a little ironic that in the test page they get you to use Docker. But anyway, I found that a little ironic. But yeah, I mean, it saves you that extra headache, doesn't it, of having to do the manual steps that we currently have to do with Docker.
Yeah. Docker Compose needed or any of that stuff.
That's right. Right. All right. So I'm going to have a look at that and a bit more play around with it. The link will be in the show notes, and Cloud Native Build Packs. Get building with that. All right. Then we'll move on a little bit here. I want to talk about something, Ira. I want to talk about best practices in Google Cloud. Now, this is probably a subject that seems pretty basic or pretty simple or pretty introductory for us, as people working in cloud all the time. But someone that hasn't been working in cloud, or if they're coming from on-prem, then this stuff is not very obvious. And I've seen this recently with quite a number of our clients, Kasna clients, that they're coming from on-prem, and it's no fault of their own. I mean, that's all people know is on-prem, and unless you've seen cloud, and they try to translate what they know from on-prem into cloud, and that works to a certain degree, but there are places where that's just going to fall down. It doesn't work that way. What's one perfect example I saw recently? Someone had built a VM, and they'd set up two persistent disks with the intention of mirroring those disks inside the VM. Okay, so you kind of it's getting away from what you actually the way you should be implementing stuff on cloud. So this document here, which we'll have linked in the show notes, is a really great document. And if you're moving into cloud or setting up cloud, you should just take a look at this. Some of this stuff's going to be very obvious to people, other stuff not. Google basically go through and say, here's the things you should be doing when you implement a project or you implement an organization. And there's a checklist, basically a checklist of what you need to do. And I just want to call out, I'm not going to go through, it's quite long, but I'm just going to call out a couple of things. Obviously, security is a big component of this document. And one of the big things you can use to help with controlling security and users is the use of groups in IAM. So this concept is important even for Active Directory or any other directory service that you might have. Use a group, put the users in a group. Even if it's only a single user, put them in a group and then control access via that group. Because then at a later date, you can give the group a meaningful name, and then at a later date, it's very easy to audit and check. Use IAP. It's another thing I want to call out. You don't need to have remote connectivity to a VM like you would in meat space in a physical world. You can use identity aware proxy and connect to a VM without having any SSH ports open or any sort of port open, and you can have the whole thing buttoned up behind a firewall, and none of that is exposed to the public internet, which is great. That's what we want. Use centralized logging and monitoring. Now, this sort of dovetails into another thing that people that haven't used cloud before, what they're kind of not used to. It's really easy just to spin up another project. You want to do some testing or development, just spin up another project, do it outside of your normal environment and create a project, and then you can just do whatever you want in that project. So if you're going to centralize your logging and monitoring, great, spin up another project. You can put all your logs and your monitoring into that project, and then it's separate from your production environment. Now, big advantages to that, obviously, if your production environment gets compromised, you still have an audit trail. You still have your logging and your monitoring that hasn't been affected by that compromised state of your production environment. Very easy to do if you're just creating another project. And of course, cloud wouldn't exist if it wasn't for sort of the DevOps mentality. So DevOps mentality needs to be embraced. So you need to invest time in engineering. You need to reduce repetitive tasks. You need to monitor. You need to do all these good DevOps things. Now, I've written an article on that called The Principles of DevOps and SRE. I'll put the link in the show notes, but that dives in a little bit more to what DevOps is. But if you're going to adopt cloud best practices, you must take a DevOps mind frame. What do you think, Ryan? Have you got anything more to add to this?
Yeah, I'd say take a look at the Security Command Center as well. They've got a whole the SIS benchmarks for Google Cloud, so that can actually do real-time reporting as well. So if anything changes, you can set up alerts and stuff that will just go. Someone's, got a public IP address on their VM. But you probably shouldn't be doing that.
Yep, Security Command Center is an excellent tool. Yep. Yeah, so I just wanted to call out this document. We've had it do the rounds a bit inside Kasna recently, and it's a great check-a-box exercise if you're going through and you don't know where to start, or you might have already started and you need to make sure that you're within the ballpark of security and best practice of GCP. All right, well, we'll move on. We might look at the jobs. We've got a job here. Okay, a little job that's available. Because Kasna, we do cloud development. We do all the things Google, and we've got a job available for a Java developer. What would you do as a Java developer? Well, you would build CI/CD pipelines, create Google infrastructure. GKE, sorry. I got KDE in the mind. GKE, if you're the right person for us, you'll have experience with, here we go, hands-on cloud experience with GCP or AWS. That's the other thing to consider. You might have worked in AWS for a little while, but you want to move to Google Cloud. We'll consider that if you've got some good Java experience. Strong experience with Java. Experience developing and supporting cloud-based services. Experience with messaging, MQ, Kafka, PubSub, SNS and SQS. Knowledge of infrastructure as code. So typically, so it does say knowledge of infrastructure as code. If you were the Java developer, you'd probably be leaning on someone like myself or even Ira to do the infrastructure as code, and you just kind of throw the Java code over the fence, and we'll get it up into the cloud for you. Code, obviously, you need to know things like GitHub, Bitbucket, or GitLab. Able to build CI/CD pipelines with best practices and tools. Obviously, it depends how DevOpsy you are. You know, Ira and I are probably the DevOpsy guys. Design highly scalable environments, of course, REST API, and knowledge of microservices goes without saying in cloud. So, yeah, look, if that sounds like you, this position's available in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, or Perth, because we're all over Australia. Look, and I reckon even if you lived in New Zealand, you could probably convince them to take you on as well, and you could hang out with Ira all day. What do you reckon, Ira?
Sure. Sounds good.
Sure sounds good. All right, that's enough for jobs today. Did we have anything else on the list there? Oh, we did. Yes. I just want to point this out. I just want to point out how much Alphabet is worth. I come across this article during the week. Google Alphabet rallied on Monday to breach $2 trillion in market value for the first time.
It's a bit of market change.
$2 trillion. Yes, you heard it here first. Well, you're not heard. You did hear it here. Alphabet is the best performing stock in 2021 among the 5 biggest US tech companies by sales. And bulls see the stock rising further because of its cheaper valuation and higher growth rate than most of its mega cap peers. Look, if you're going to be in cloud, I think Google's the place to be, especially with statements like that coming from, this is from Bloomberg, this article, I'll link in the show notes. It's not going anywhere. Alphabet trades about 24 times forward earnings, making it cheaper than Amazon and Microsoft, but more expensive than Facebook and Meta. I still can't get used to that. Facebook
it's quite weird. Right? I think everyone's just going to call it Facebook. Like Alphabet. No one calls Alphabet. It's just Google.
Everyone calls it Alphabet. That's right. So, look, 2 trillion, and they're the fastest grower, and they're still continuing to grow. Rapid growth, right? So they go into the history of Google here. Alphabet was created in 2015 to be a parent company for Google, a move that allowed Page and Brin to restructure the business. Ambitious future projects did other bets, including Waymo, the autonomous driving company, became organised under Alphabet. So in case a little back history there, and of course all the other brands, YouTube, Google Search, Google Cloud, all are organised under Alphabet now, and today it's worth $2 trillion. Quite outstanding, quite amazing, actually.
Minus, I think they lost their appeal yesterday for their EU fine of only $2.8 billion US. So,
that's chump change. Yeah. All right, so this is in relation to the antitrust case that we.
Oh, no, this is a different one. So there's 3 current cases going in the EU, and this is one fine out of the 3. But they can still appeal it if they want. But there's only one more chance.
Right. Only one more chance. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, they've got. I mean, they may as well appeal it, right? They may as well just.
Yeah. It's just, you wouldn't not appeal something like that, I'd say.
I think the damage to the brand, getting stung with something like that's probably worse than, the constant appealing, in terms of, financial loss.
Oh, yeah. The interest they would make from, delaying it for another year is probably pay the legal fees, right?
That's right. All right. Well, look, probably a little shorter today's show. We're just trying to catch up on the backlog, but we do have a website, and we are now trying to fall into a regular cadence with this. And I don't know, my personal vibes is that I think we're coming along quite nicely with things.
Yeah, got a mic now.
Got a mic now. Excellent. All right, well, we might finish up there, and don't forget to check out Kasna Between Two Clouds. I think I've been calling it Beyond Two Clouds. It's not. It's Between Two Clouds on our YouTube channel, and you can contact us at gcplife@kasna.com.au, and we've got the Twitter there as well, which is @gcplife, and of course, today's show is sponsored by Kasna. Kasna, we make your Google Cloud solutions possible. And don't forget to look us up on our new website, gcplife.kasna.com.au, and that's about it for us, and we'll catch you in a fortnight. Bye.
See ya. Yeah.
I've got a doozy. I've got a doozy to kick it off. I've got an absolute doozy. Yeah, I'll tell it during the thing.